Hello all, welcome back. It is Friday, December 2nd in the NBA. We got our 4 favorite picks on the way. We got 11 games on in the NBA. Let's get back into it. Now let's recap yesterday. 1 play, 1 game, 1 winner as the Detroit Pistons cover plus 7.5. Easy, no sweat win. They actually should have easily won outright in regulation, go to overtime, and they went outright there as well. We will take that. A solid start to December. We did give out a same game parlay. I know some people switched my Luka Doncic line, which I took as under 8.5 assists. We were 2 Luka assists going to cash a plus 1,000 parlay. Some people still cashed it out. Hopefully you guys tailed that. Or maybe you switched to one leg, you made some money. Either way, if you are new to the Call on Our Shot channel, go down below, hit that subscribe button. Now, before I dive into my favorite plays, I do want to bring up something. Well, first off, we do have our Call on Our Shot hoodies. Those are live on the store. You can go check that out, callonourshot.com. However, I do want to make a quick note that it has been brought to my attention that we have some people trying to scam some of our viewers out there, and they're trying to impersonate myself or Logan, at the Call on Our Shot channel in the comments section. So if you see comments similar to the one I'm putting up on screen, report those accounts. That's not me. I don't have a Telegram. I'm not going to ask you guys to direct message me through Telegram. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to give you, not yet. Maybe if we make the big bucks over the rest of the season. I'm not giving out a MacBook Pro to a lot of people. So if you see these types of accounts, go just report them. I've reported at least 5 to 10 of them, but it sucks. A lot of people have been messaging them on Telegram. Don't fall for it. If you click on their profile picture and it doesn't take you back to the Call on Our Shot channel with 56,000 subscribers, just report the account. Obviously, don't report Call on Our Shot, please. But let's get into our favorite plays. Just want to put that out there because I know a bunch of people have been getting contacted by them and we don't want to see that. So report those scammers. We don't need that. But thanks for coming to my TED Talk. It's time to get into my favorite plays. Start with the best bet of the day, which I believe is hit 2 in a row. We're feeling a little bit spicy. It's Friday. Let's go with this guy, Pascal Siakam, Spicy P, taking his over 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists, PRAs. This is plus 105 on PointsBet. If you need an individual line, I normally lean Siakam's over in points, but I think he could hit all of his overs today in rebounds and assists as well. And you understand why in a little bit. I think PRAs is the safest bet for Mr. Siakam. Now, before I dive into why I like Siakam, I do want to put up all of his lines on the screen. I'll cover my face, but I'm on OddsJam here, and you can see the 36.5 line is on PointsBet plus 105. It's clearly the best line, best value out here. Now you see a bunch of books at 35.5. Feel free to lay the minus 130 juice if you want. Personally, if the juice was like minus 130 to minus 122 you're seeing on FanDuel, I would take the 35.5. But obviously I'm going to take plus 105 for just one more PRA. And if he ends on 36, then so be it. But I think he has a good chance of getting 40 plus tonight. Now, let's talk about why I like Siakam, as he will be taking on the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I can't predict this, but I have a feeling the Raptors are going to go back to their normal starting lineup where you see Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam starting at the 5. Now, they played that lineup a lot last game. Thaddeus Young still started, but they really played that lineup a lot. And Gary Trent Jr. finally kind of looked like himself, so he played well. And since Siakam returned from injury, he's played in 2 games. In his stat lines, he's had 23 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists for 33 PRAs. And then in the last game, he had 34 PRAs. I flipped those around. The 33 was last game, but he's averaged 15 rebound chances, 11 assist chances, both most on his team. And he's gone under in 2 straight, yet the Bucks were like, he's gone under in 2 straight. Let's raise his line 2 or 3 PRAs. They clearly liked what they've seen out of Siakam. He just hasn't put it all together. And I have a feeling he puts it all together today against the Nets, who obviously have struggled defensively once Kyrie Irving returned. Now, Siakam and the Raptors played the Nets earlier this season, and Siakam hit this over in just points alone. He had 37 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. Overall on the year, averaging 40.3 PRAs per game over this line in 7 of 11 games. Now we've seen OG Anunoby likely going to be guarding Kevin Durant, so he'll have his hands full. Gary Trent Jr. as inconsistent as they come. And then you got VanVleet and Barnes, who still are battling injuries, still don't really look 100%. So Siakam's going to be the lead ball carrier on this team, likely going to be the guy that shoots the most, and he's going to be the guy that piles up all the rebounds because he's likely guarding Nicholas Claxton. Coach Nick Nurse also plays Siakam usually into the ground, and after his first 2 games, he played 34 minutes in the last one. Maybe they up him even more minutes. We see 36 to 38 minutes. I really like Siakam today. Should have a good day shooting the ball. The Nets don't really have the best rim protection. Nick Claxton is pretty solid, but if he's guarding a guy like Pascal Siakam, Siakam just doesn't get past him, and then there's not a lot of rim protection left. Really like Pascal Siakam. Best bet of the day, 1.5 units on his over 36.5 PRAs for plus 105 value. Obviously, you can take it at the differing lines. I think Siakam has a great night. Now let's move on to my second play, and it's going to be our favorite game pick. We've been pretty dialed in. I think we've hit 4 straight of these, and no spread stuck out to me. Honestly, if you wanted my favorite spread pick, I lean the Pacers, but my man Tyrese Halliburton is currently questionable with the groin injury, and I don't want to take a Pacers spread if he doesn't play. You got the wrong guy. Now let's move in. I actually like this one. I like the Celtics and Heat taking their under under 225.5 points, minus 110 on FanDuel. I believe they're back in Boston, and this line could move up to 226. That's what sharper books were at, but sure, take 226 to get an extra half point. But let's talk about this game, because this is obviously a rematch from just a couple nights ago when the Celtics and Heat played each other, and they combined for 255 points. And so naturally, the sportsbooks came out and said, okay, we saw the 255. We'll set the over-under 1 point lower. It was 225.5 last game, and I believe it started at 224.5, and people have bet it up to 225.5 as we currently see. And in that game, we saw the Heat shoot 52.2% from the field, 45% from three. We saw the Celtics shoot 55% from the field, 48.9% from three, making 43 pointers as a whole. Those two numbers are unsustainable, and honestly, the comment section will not like this, but I think Tatum goes way under 29.5 points today. I know Tatum over 29.5 points is going to be one of the most bet props today, and understandably so. Tatum's been absolutely, he's been unearthly. I mean, this guy's been crazy. He scored 49 points last game, and what did the Bucks do? They didn't even move his line. He just scored 49 against the Miami Heat. They said, nah, we're good. We're not going to move the line. So I don't know if Tatum has a big scoring night. Well, I'm not saying take Tatum's under 29.5 points. I'd rather take the full game, because we could see Jimmy Butler back. He should help that Miami Heat defense. I think they're going to hone in and really dial back in defensively. In the last four matchups between these two teams, we saw them combine for 173, 214, 204, and 215 points, going under in all four of these games. Now, the Celtics defense is obviously taken a step back without Robert Williams, but I still think they can step up here, and I don't think the Heat want to get into a shootout versus Boston. Boston's shooting ridiculously from the field, shooting I think almost 50%, I think 49.8, over 40% from three, 85% from the field, or from the free throw line. That's just unsustainable. If there's a team that's due a lot of regression, it's going to be the Boston Celtics. I know they have talented scorers, and that's why I don't think the Heat want to get into a shootout with them, but shooting that crazy from the field consistently on every given night, I don't think that's sustainable. They're all NBA players. They're going to have bad nights. I think this is one of those nights where we see the Heat turn it up defensively. Same with the Celtics. Give me the under 225.5 as my favorite game pick of this one. Now, moving on to two more player props, then we'll wrap it on up. Klay Thompson taking his over 17.5 points, minus 110 on points bet. Had to support Mr. Klay. I got a shirt on with his other friends, Draymond Green and Stephen Curry. Now, Thompson coming off arguably his worst game of the season, had 5 points versus the Mavericks and his second lowest point output of the year. The other game was that 2-point game where he played against the Suns and got ejected, I think, in the first half. Now, prior to scoring 5 points last game, Thompson had actually been kind of starting to get back to what he had looked pre-injury, and he had hit this over in 6 straight games. The one under, obviously, the 5 points, nuked his line. It was like 18.5, sometimes 19.5, and then they saw that 5-point game and they said, oh, we'll drop it down too. I think that's way too big of an overcorrection. If you remember last postseason, we saw Klay struggle against the Mavericks. If you were watching the videos, we were frequently taking Klay's unders against the Mavericks, so it didn't surprise me to see him struggle against them. Very good defensive team, but Thompson averaging 17 points per game on the year, right around this line. He hit this over in 3 straight home games with 20, 18, and 20 points, and he's yet to have that wow game at Golden State. He has yet to have it at home. He's had a great game, 41 points in Houston, but yet to put on a show for the crowd. Could the show come today? And here's why I think it might have a chance. Now, I'm not predicting Klay Thompson scores 40 points tonight, though I don't know what the odds are for that. If you want to ladder Klay, normally if he hits his over, he could crush it. But let's talk about the Bulls, who they're playing. The Bulls allow the second highest opponent 3-point percentage. They are letting teams knock down a high percentage of their looks, and if you know Klay Thompson, what does he shoot? Primarily 3-pointers. But not only that, Klay Thompson holds the record for most 3-pointers made in an NBA game with 14 threes back by, I believe, in 2018. Who did he do that against? Yeah, the Chicago Bulls. In his last 4 against the Bulls, 29, 38, 52 points was that 14 threes game, and 30 points. So clearly he's gotten something against Chicago, but Klay's talked about in the past, especially last postseason, saying he liked to watch old highlights of himself to just get him more confident. Would it surprise anyone if he watches a highlight of that 14 3-pointers game today and he comes out fired? No, not at all. Klay Thompson's capable of hitting this over in a quarter. He's capable of hitting this over anytime, any given matchup. If he sees that first shot go through the hoop, he's going to be firing it up. The Warriors have talked about in press conferences, we've seen Stephen Curry talk about in podcasts, that if Klay Thompson normally has a bad game, they're normally reluctant, maybe a little bit more pass mode to get him going in the next game. After just scoring 5 points last game, I think Klay gets a little bit going. I know you got to bet on Klay Thompson. It's a guy with a decent amount of volume. He just has to knock down shots, not getting a lot of free throw attempts, but anything can happen against the Chicago Bulls. Just like Devin Booker score 51 in 3 quarters. So give me Klay Thompson's over 17.5 points. Now, my final player prop, we might add a play. I'll talk about that in a second. This one pains me to do, but Kristaps Porzingis under 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. PRAs minus 113 on FanDuel. Individual line, take his under 23.5 points. If you wanted to, I know his teammate Kuzma, we've been riding with him. Kuzma's lines has finally kind of been overcorrected, so I don't really want to take Kuzma. And if you're into trading the stock market, here's the ultimate buy low, sell high, and you're selling high on Mr. Kristaps Porzingis. And I know he's a big man versus the Hornets. Our money glitched last season, but let's be honest, this 35.5 line, too high. It's way too high. I'd still play it at 34.5. If it goes any lower, don't play it. But Kristaps, if he doesn't shoot the ball well, he doesn't grab a bunch of rebounds, he's not hitting this line. And on the season, Kristaps averaging 21.5 points per game, 8.7 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game. So 32.8 PRAs per game. Yet this line is asking for nearly 3, maybe 4 more PRAs than that over his last 2 games. Why are we selling high? Because if you bought low 2 games ago, you got Kristaps on a great game. He scored 48 PRAs and then 46 PRAs last game when he had like 17 or 19 rebounds. Look, that's not sustainable for Kristaps Porzingis. I love Kristaps. I have his jersey right over there in my closet. I loved him when he was a member of the New York Knicks, but the fact he shot 66.7% from the field 2 games ago, then 57.1%, made 8 of his last 13 three-pointers. He shot 11 and 14 free throw attempts the last 2 games. Everything has gone right for Kristaps. If one thing goes wrong, he goes under this line. And he's played the Hornets already twice this season. He had 32 PRAs versus them without Bradley Beal. Then he had 33 PRAs going under in both of those 2 games. They still got Bradley Beal. Still got Kyle Kuzma. Both those 2 guys will be active, and they will shoot a good amount. In his 16 games with those 2 guys this season, under in 10 of those 16 games. Look, I've seen far too many games of Kristaps going out there and grabbing 4, 6 rebounds. If he does that and grabs 4 or 6 rebounds and doesn't have a good rebounding game in this one, he's not getting close to this line unless he shoots, 25 times and makes a lot of his shots. I just don't see it going down. I know the Hornets have struggled versus big men, but Kristaps, there's just some games he avoids going to get rebounds, and I know he just had 17 last game. I think he's due some regression. I think people are just going to sit back and just set it and like, oh, Kristaps Porzingis, big man versus the Hornets. I'll take his over. This line is way inflated because they know people are going to do that. Too high of a line. I'm sorry, Kristaps. If you go out there and hurt me, I'm fine with that. Just think this line is 2-3 points too high. I'll take his under as my under of the day. 35.5 PRAs. Like I said, points is not a bad one either. Now, those are my only plays of the day. We might add one play. And if we do add a play, I'm looking at that Hawks-Nuggets game, but the Hawks have like 150 injuries. The Nuggets have some of their own, so we'll see. But I have a feeling if there's going to be a game on the slate where we see like 260 combined points, I think the Hawks Nuggets could be that. So stay tuned for that. Check the pinned comment for any added plays. I'll obviously send it out to our All-Stars first. And since I'm feeling spicy, we're already riding with Pascal Siakam. I'm going to run this 3-leg parlay on Underdog Fantasy just as my 3-player props. I'm really liking these ones. And if you sign up for Underdog, be sure to use code COS. You can also, for a 100% deposit match, you can also use the link in the description. Makes it a little bit easier. But use code COS for Underdog. You can also do that for PrizePicks, and you get a 100% deposit match. So you go in, use our code, you can deposit $20. You get $40 to play with. You deposit $50, you have $100. You deposit $100, you have $200 to play with, up to $100. So definitely take advantage of that. We're riding with this 3-leg Underdog parlay. Let's sweep these player props. Take us home. Kristaps, Pascal, and Klay Thompson. Time to shout out some COS All-Stars. As always, you guys have absolutely been showing a ton of support. We really do appreciate it. Let's talk about these ones. We got Jai, definitely butchered that. 520RR, Triple R Creations, Henrique, Benjamin, ESPN Bali 95, Tony, and Naveen. We appreciate you guys so much for supporting the channel. If you ever want to go buy some Call on Our Shot merch, I actually put the link on the screen for you to go to the callonourshot.com website. You can go see the hoodies that we just released yesterday. Also, we appreciate you guys as always for showing so much support. NFL Week 13 Best Bets is already on the screen. And also our NCAA college football picks will be live in a little bit. So definitely check out that. I'll link it on the screen once that video is live. This is Austin. 4 plays today. Maybe an added play in the pinned comment. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.